When I first started editing, it took me a very long time to actually understand how graphs work, as opposed to just copying the graph that you found in the tutorial without knowing how it works. So I'm just gonna try to explain a little bit of what your thought process should be and a little bit of how graphs actually work so that you can stop copying people. Um, so I have a remapped clip right here. I'm just gonna play it without any graphs on it. It's just raw. So, and then I'm gonna first apply a graph that has this at the very top. I'm gonna apply this graph right here. I'm just gonna apply this. And you can see, is it smooth? Sure, yeah. And actually this is pretty surprising. I actually wasn't expecting this. So let me try a little different one. If I go like this and I try doing like this. Alright, so with this graph, you can see the more I bring this part up, the more still it gets towards the end of the clip. Because the more you bring this up, that means, okay, let me explain this a different way. Basically, as this is going, like this line right here is how your clip is going to move in terms of time. So the more I bring this up, the more still it's going to be at the end. If you've heard of like remap freezing, this is what causes it when people make their graphs way, way too tight, which ends up cutting the time very short. You can see, if you look at this time right here, you can see how quickly it jumps. It immediately jumps to 155 because this part of the graph is so close to the left. I like to call this the walls, in which I'll highlight when I edit where the walls are. So the closer you get to these walls, the tighter your graphs are, and the faster anything will be if you graph it like that. So I'm gonna show you what happens when you loosen it and do a more normal graph, the graphs that I use. So I'm just gonna use this whole preset right here. This is my normal remap graph. So I'm gonna highlight this and apply this one. And I'm just gonna let this render real quick. You can go ahead and see the movement never ends and it stays, pretty, it's still fast in the beginning, right? But it stays nice and a smooth type of slow towards the end. And it never freezes. Because I have this, the lower you bring this, right? It means that it's never gonna end, it's never gonna the end of the clip. So right here would be the end of the clip and right here would be the start, right? So if it keeps going and it really never reaches the end. So if we look at this timer map here, and I just skip a few frames, boom, it's at 93 now, instead of what we had before, which was 155. Because I moved this to the right. I put it away from the wall. So you just want to make sure when you're graphing anything, just avoid going on the walls and try to always have that never-ending movement because that's, nice to see in an edit. So like this right here, right? And when you're graphing anything, just leave this here. And I'm gonna give another example. I'm gonna show it using a scale. It's a lot easier to see using scales, and I honestly see a lot of people who are going about it a little bit wrong, and their graphs are like way too tight. So I'm just gonna do a basic scale. I'm just gonna do 100 to 130, and just put this up down here. And I'm gonna go ahead and graph it with this on the wall, right? And I'm just gonna put this down. Put this over here. You can see you can see here, this is the scale, right? It basically stops scaling at the very end. Like it just, and it's like the whole thing's really fast. You move one frame, it skips this much, right? But when you use the concept of graphs and you loosen this, so I'm gonna move this over here, right? And I'm gonna move this down. I'm gonna move this down. I'm gonna apply this. You can see you get that little constant movement at the end. So your edit never ever ever stops moving. So this is what I always do, right? But my normal scale graph will probably look something like this. So I'm gonna apply this. I'll show you what this looks like. And then you can see it's a nice little smooth zoom, and you can see right here it never stops zooming in. So what we like to see. I'm going to show one more example, which is going to be with mid graphs, because this is pretty important if you're trying to do mode graph or transition style. Okay, so I'm just going to add a null. Actually, I don't even have to use the null. I'm just going to make a mid graph. So I'm going to easy use this, read it, and here we go. So I'm just going to, hold shift down and move this like this. You can see it zooms in and then it just stops zooming. So we're gonna apply the same concept here, and we're just gonna bring this down. I'm gonna bring this up. This means that it will never end, right? And you can see now it continues to zoom, and it's really that easy to keep that constant movement. So yeah, I hope this helps. You just need to understand the walls of your graph. And it applies the same thing. It's the same thing with out graphs, in graphs, right? You can inverse it. Just when you're editing, make sure to avoid the walls and always keep this a little bit down for basically like everything you do. Will say there's pretty much no exceptions unless you're looking for it to be very, very fast, and then you would, go closer to the walls. So I hope this helps.